My name is Michael Kurtz. I'm one of the founders of Record Store Day. Record Store Day is a celebration of the culture. It's sort of succeeds where politics fail. I think Record Store Day is important for a lot of reasons. One is we enabled the vinyl business to come back. But when we pressed up those first records for Record Store Day and they all sold out within a matter of hours, we became confident, the record stores did. And then we took that confidence back to record labels and artist managers and said, look what happened, we can do this again.
I'm Andrew Rossiter. I'm a partner and general manager at Org Music. We are a vinyl reissue label, and we have been involved with Record Store Day since the beginning of our label. We basically take old recordings that either haven't been pressed on vinyl ever or haven't been pressed on vinyl in years, and we will, if it's a straight reissue, we'll take that package and we'll do it as faithfully to the original as we can, which means rebuilding artwork and going back and getting the master tapes and trying to reproduce that record as good or better as they did the first time.
And I met Andrew to talk to him about Record Store Day. He started working with Sun Records, and I asked him, can we get access to the archives?
I've always been a fan of Sun Records. Going back, the Johnny Cash stuff, all the things that you normally associate with Sun. The deeper that I kind of dove into their catalog just as a fan, the more interested I was, and so I just cold called them and I sent them a package of records and I said, hey, this is what we do. This is the quality of stuff that we're putting out. Yeah, so John Singleton wrote me back very quickly. It was surprising how quickly I heard back from him, actually. And he got the package, he loved the records, and it was just the start of what's become now a 5 or 6 year relationship of diving deep into their catalog and helping them get that stuff back into stores.
I'm John Singleton, president of Sun Entertainment Corporation, and we're the owners of Sun Records. Andrew does all the work. He compiles it and he essentially clears the titles with us and the artwork and etc. So I have to give Andrew, like 99% credit for making this happen there. I don't have to comment on Elvis because everybody knows who Elvis is. So we think that what Sam did with Elvis and later on with some other acts is he was truly a visionary and started rock and roll.
The history with Sun Records really started in August 2002 when Sam Phillips, the founder of the label in the studio, the guy who's credited with A&Ring the discovery of Elvis Presley and all the greats, he came to speak to a group of independent record store owners. So he gave this really emotional speech about how there would be no Johnny Cash, there'd be no Jerry Lee Lewis, there would be no Elvis if it wasn't for the independent thinker, the independent business, the independent record store. He challenged us to not succumb to, the corporate onslaught.
My name is Carrie Colleton. I helped to start a thing called Record Store Day. I spend my days helping record stores be better places. Record Store Day started in 2008, but there had been groups of record stores across the country for years before that. And in one of these groups had a meeting where all the stores got together and were talking to labels and distribution. And as a special surprise, amazingly special surprise, we were presented with a speech by Sam Phillips. Sam Phillips, standing in front of a bunch of independent record store owners, and he did not go into the history of Sun so much. He didn't talk about how great he was or how innovative he was. He talked to those record store owners about how special they were.
But you guys are the engine. Don't forget that. Don't give up the ghost. No matter how bad you feel or how bad you're being beaten down, keep going.
I remember he said, I'm so glad you aren't giving up the ghost. And this is in 2002. At that point, everybody thought record stores were going away. And it was just such a kick for them. And so oh my gosh, you're right. we're awesome, let's go back out and be awesome.
My name is Doyle Davis. I'm co-owner and vinylist at Grimey's Records, and we're in Nashville, Tennessee. It was crazy to open a record store then. So the prevailing thought was everything's just going to transition to digital, and record stores already were struggling against, loss leader pricing at big box retailers and things like that.
My name is Dempsey Hamilton. I'm the owner-operator of Mobius Records in Fairfax, Virginia. I went to Record Store Day in 2014, April 2014, and realized, all right, there is definitely something happening here. And within 2 weeks, I had signed a lease. And just kind of abandoned everything and just went for broke.
Hey, my name is Bill Daly. I'm the owner of Crooked Beat Records in Alexandria, Virginia. Record Store Day is basically it's something that celebrates the culture and existence of stores like this around the world. It's it's a really special occasion for the vinyl fan.
My name's Anna Lundy. I'm the manager and Indie Pop Princess at Grimey's New and Pre-Loved Music in Nashville, Tennessee. It's become a huge celebration. People around the world participate in Record Store Day. It's marked by the release of many independent artists and albums that are exclusive to that day and only available at independent record stores.
And the idea of having a record be curated by record stores and the people who work at a record store makes so much sense for Record Store Day because A, you want to have a piece that's special and unique. B, you want to celebrate the catalog of this amazing label. Like 2018 will be our 5th compilation. And what we discovered as we kept doing them was, wow, we really are like teaching ourselves and others about Sun Records and what kind of music there is. Because with Sun Records, when you think of that, a little bit like record stores. You think of a record store, a lot of people get one image in their head. You think of Sun Records, a lot of people get one image in their head. It's a great image. It's rockabilly. It's Elvis. It's Johnny Cash. It's all of those guys. But as we got deeper into it, it's also garage rock and psychedelic and R&B and soul and blues and women. It's all of that is in the Sun world.
With this Sun Records comp in particular, I know with the 3rd volume that we did, The Other Side of Sun, which this year is going to be a continuation of that theme, the feedback was outstanding, and we had people coming to me and saying, I learned so much about Sun Records and all the other labels underneath that parent label.
So that's really the beginning of the connection with Sam Phillips. So when I got to meet with Andrew and we started talking about can we create records for Record Store Day, the Sam Phillips connection was there, and Sun Records, and like, can we get access to those archives, all those recordings that Sam made, because they're incredible. It's everything from soul to rock and roll to psychedelic. He did it all. I mean, and it's all amazing music. So that's the real connection from the beginning to Andrew, and then from Andrew to Carrie and me is like, let's pull it together. And then I had met Candace Mache Cox, who lives in Memphis. So I met her when we waited tables, much earlier in life, and I was always impressed with her knowledge of music. Probably one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met, and especially Southern music. And so she educated me back then, and I never really forgot that. So when we had a chance to do this, I said to Candace, hey, can you help us by going through these 1,000 tracks?
I'm Candace Mache. I grew up outside of Memphis in a small town, and that's pretty much what I do is I listen to music and get real excited and then give a list of, say, 20, 30 songs. They send it out to record stores all over the world, and then the employees and the owners of the stores rank the songs, and that's how they come together.
Candace Mache is the one who digs into the vaults and pulls up the tracks that turn into the album.
The Sam Phillips days are pretty eclectic, but mostly we know it for the rockabilly and the blues. But then the Shelby Singleton years get really crazy because he had studios all over the South recording people, and he had a studio in Valparaiso, Florida called Playground, and there was a lot of soul music and funk coming out of there. Then in Nashville, at some of the studios there, the country studio musicians would do psychedelic records. So it gets really eclectic when you get into the Shelby Singleton years. And everybody just thinks of Sun as, rockabilly and blues. So it's really cool that it does transcend that.
Because there were about 20 tracks on there, and I think out of 20, I knew one that I had a reference point to. So I had to do a little digging and do a little bit of research, but going through that process, it also opened my eyes to the fact that I had never known that Sun kind of went to the slightly psychedelic and slightly, more soul R&B than their earlier catalog had been.
I'm Randy Fox. I live here in Nashville. I'm a freelance music writer, but yeah, Sun is kind of the one that it kind of draws you. Everyone ends up back at Sun and then branches and goes out from there to say, okay, who else was operating at that time and doing cool stuff.
So it was a really fun exploration into a side of Sun that I had no idea existed, that sounded like the Animals and 13th Floor Elevators, and just blew me away because I was unaware of it.
And every year they get excited about the Sun Record Store Day release, and they get real excited about what titles are picked, and they every year they're like saying, I'm adding this to my collection and I hope they keep doing this, because that's one of the ones they get most excited about.
It really helps that it's a compilation, because people are learning about new music. They might have recognized Johnny Cash, but they stay for Howlin' Wolf, or they might have recognized Howlin' Wolf and then they discover Ma Rainey, or someone else that's a little bit deeper in the catalog.
And then on Record Store Day, they get in line together every year and they talk about, what's happening in your life? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Comparing notes on the list, and it's pretty cool. I don't know that we thought about that aspect of it, how big the list of releases would be. But if it's what brings people together, and if it's what people focus on, and it gets them to a store, then it's done its job.
And it's not like I'm trying to say I'm a genius, I did this and I knew what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just going along with it, encouraging it every step of the way.
So it's been exciting that way, and I think it appeals to people of all ages. You have your Sun collectors who have been collecting these records for decades upon decades. You also have kids who may not know what Sun Records is, but they recognize that really cool logo, or they recognize Johnny Cash, or they recognize something else about the release calls to them. And again, I think it's from the artwork to everyone involved, from the stores promoting it, from the help we get from Tito's promoting it, it's just become a really special thing.
So I'm often asked, why vinyl? Why are people interested in this format that everybody thought had died in the 1990s? And I think it's both mysterious and obvious at the same time. Mysterious in the sense that the art that goes into creating the actual vinyl and the engineering process, the mastering process, has a lot of depth to it that most, even myself, don't understand.
I'm Eric Astor with Furnace Record Pressing. So Furnace Record Pressing is a vinyl manufacturing company. So why is vinyl worth it? I believe the sound, it's warmer, it's more, engaging. It just sounds better. It's an analog format versus a digital format. There's all kinds of studies that show that listening to digital kind of messes with your brain and it actually fatigues your brain, whereas we're analog beings. So if you're listening to an analog record, it's it's simpatico. It feels good. It feels it's warm. It just gives you a big hug. But also, I think that people I think there's like a backlash to having all this music up in the cloud or in your pocket, and you never really engage with the record or the artist as much as you do when you have this 12 by 12 image, and you open it up and you got the liner notes and all these things.
There's something about taking that time out of your day to sit down and experience that textile, visceral experience that you get from vinyl, which you would not be able to kind of... It's a more forced experience to be able to sit and not get up and skip tracks and do all that kind of nonsense, where you just focused in on what you're doing and you're sitting there and you're taking it in, you're reading liner notes.
Vinyl, it's just like, you're holding it's like holding a newspaper or magazine, and you sit down and listen to it and look at the song titles, and it takes you somewhere.
Opening up a fresh record right out of the sleeve, put it on the turntable, put the needle down, and then you'd hear pop, crack, and then the music would start. And it's like, that's just part of the experience.
And there's something about the act of dropping that needle on the record. And I specifically love to listen, to be excited about a new album, to buy the record. And the first time I'm going to hear it at all is when I break the shrink wrap off, put it on the turntable, drop that needle. There's that little second where it kind of wiggles around until it locks into the groove, and then you don't know what's going to come, and then all of a sudden the glorious music comes out. I mean, it's an amazing thing.
And that new vinyl smell, when you when you pop that shrink wrap and you pull it out that first time, and you get that smell of brand new vinyl too. That's that's always exciting. That's a rush.
Back in the 70s and 80s, I would buy my records, and even in the 90s, sometimes I'll get them, and you can smell like the printing. They had a smell to them. You would open them up, and I used to stick my nose in the vinyl and say, "Oh, this smells so cool."
The act, everything about it is almost ritualistic, and opening it up and putting it in the player or putting it on the turntable is its own ritual. What do? Do you read the liner notes all the way through? Do you sit down and read them? Do you stop and think, oh, I wonder why this track was first? Oh, okay, now, that hit is like 5th on the album. That's weird. You know, I don't think it's just me that thinks these things, but there is, like, everybody has their own ritual with how they interact with new music.
For me, the best thing about vinyl is the sound and just how warm it is, and when you walk into a room and you hear some music playing. You know, sometimes it stops me in my tracks when you hear something playing on vinyl and with a properly set up sound system, and it can really feel like someone is in the room with you playing for you. You know, it's a really intimate thing. And when you listen to vinyl, you really have to listen to it in the way that the artist intended. You're not skipping songs on a playlist. You're not, you know, listening to one single from some artist and another single from another artist. You're listening to an album, you know, straight through in the order that the artist wanted you to hear it.
So, you know, vinyl, it's a craft. It's, you know, someone actually like slaved away at making it. Sounds better, and it's collectible. People like to, you know, people like hardbound books, and you know, they like to collect things that mean a lot to them. How do you collect like Song in the Clouds?
My name is Jeff Powell, and my primary business has become cutting vinyl records. It's thrilling to me every time I cut a record and I drop the cutter head. It makes your heart beat a little bit because you're taking off in the plane. You know, you're in for 20 minutes or so that you have to pay, you know, very close attention to detail, and all the way through. And again, there's just nothing more satisfying than when you get it back and you play the test pressing or even the manufacturing copy, and you put it on just to listen for enjoyment, and it's just beautiful. To me, that's way more gratifying than seeing my little name with a magnifying glass on a CD that I worked on, you know. It's just a different listening experience again.
And you know, it's like a customer once told me. They said, you know what I like about records? I said, what? He goes, every time you see me buy a record, you always see me hug it. I go, yeah. Why do you do that? He goes, because you can hug a record. You couldn't hug a CD. And he says, I hug this, and it said, this is just going to be about me going home and going to my special place and just listening to this record.
It doesn't really matter. It's just because it brings joy to people, and that's really the thing that I think is most wonderful about it. It's very gratifying for me, you know, and the fact that the stores themselves will tell me, you know, we would have closed if you guys had not done what you did. And when I say you guys, I mean the entire community. It wasn't just me or Carrie. So, you know, that's what it means to me. Seeing all the beautiful records being pressed and all the creativity put into it is pretty amazing too. I love that aspect of it.